So welcome to my class. Unit 2 continued, and in Unit 2 we've talked about collection of data, organization of data, and presentation of data. So we finished with what is collection, organization, and now what we are doing is uh, presentation of data. And in the presentation of data, there are four types of presentation. One is the textual presentation, along with we have what is known as the tabular presentation. We talked about the diagrammatic presentation, and now we are going to do the graphical presentation. Though we call them now, in this we're going to talk about what is known as histograms. Then we're going to talk about when you take of equal and unequal class intervals, and then when we take the midpoints and join them angularly with a scale, it is known as a polygon, and that is frequency polygon. And if you use your free hand and smoothen out the polygon, the angular places, it becomes like a frequency curve. So I just have a look that when we are talking about graphical representation, graphical diagrams, or presentation of data in terms of graph, then what we have is what is known as frequency diagrams. We refer to it as diagrams, but it's easier for us to show it on graphs. So in that we have what is known as histogram, polygon, and ogive. That is a cumulative frequency curve. And on the other hand, we also have in the graphical presentation, which we call the arithmetic line graphs or the time series graphs, which we'll be doing later. But right now we will start with a histogram. Okay, now what is histogram? It is okay, just see what it is. When you look at it, I'm sure you've seen it so many times and you know what it is. So histogram is a graphical presentation of a frequency distribution of a continuous series. So I told you we are doing frequency diagrams. So while constructing a histogram, values of the variable are shown on the x-axis and their frequencies on the y-axis. And frequencies corresponding to different class intervals are shown by rectangles. Now the width of the rectangles are according to the width of the corresponding class intervals. And the height of the rectangles is in proportion to the frequencies of the class interval. And different rectangles meet each other from left to right. Now if the data are in the form of an, okay, we won't do all of that. Now let me just show you, let's just come to this. So histogram or frequency distribution are of two types, and one is you just have a look here. So they are of two types: histograms of equal class intervals and histogram of unequal class intervals. So in this we are going to do what is known as histograms of equal class intervals. And the very fact that they are equal class intervals, what happens? That the width will remain the same. The width of the diagrams will be the same. So just have a look. So I've given you the table as 0 to 10, then you have what is 10 to 20, 20 to 30, etc. And we've given the number of students, the frequencies, 5, 10, 15, 30, 50, 35, 20. So this one we are going to present it. This is how you draw. You make those rectangles. It's real fun when you do it. You can even color it. You have a nice sharpened pencil and all of that. But make sure that you have a graph paper. Must go and get your graph paper and do these diagrams on that. So what we notice here is that this is of equal class interval. So what is the difference between the class intervals? It's 10 throughout, 0 to 10, 10 to 20. Is that right? A series, this is known as a series with equal class intervals. So here it will be a histograms including rectangles of equal width. Of course, the length of the rectangles will vary according to the values. All right. So now, having done this, let's come to, we talked about histograms of unequal class intervals. So when you have the histograms of unequal class intervals, now what we have to do is we have to adjust it. That's very important. So before presenting the data in the form of graphs, frequencies of unequal class intervals are adjusted. So how will we do it? I'll explain it to you later. Oh, okay. Okay, just have a look first. Can you see this? So the histogram that I've made is, you see from, can you see the data which is shown as 30 to 40? First it was 25 to 30, till that it was just, the difference was 5. And then you see how it's increased. So that's it. So that is unequal class intervals. So the frequencies are then adjusted accordingly. Frequencies also have to be adjusted. That is the main thing. Now, I've worked out how do we do it. Now look at this. Now how do we work it out? The important thing is, just pay attention, that how do we adjust? So what we do is, we take the class interval of the concerned class. Let's take the first. What is the concerned class? The first is 5, right? And the lowest class interval, that too is 5. So when we divide that, whatever we get, all right, so that we divide by the given frequency. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. So 7 divided by 1 is 7. Now let's come to this frequency, class interval 30 to 40. The concerned class interval is 10. And what is the smallest frequency? 5. So what do you get is 2. When you divide, you get 2. So what you do is, now you got to also adjust the frequency density. That is, 12 divided by 2 is 6. So now when you do 30 to 40, you will not draw a rectangle as 12, 12. You will divide into 2 parts, 6, 6. Right? Like for example, now look at this. We had made 12, we make 6 and 6. Now let's take the other one, 40 to 60. So what is the difference? What is the difference between the class interval? 20. So which is the lowest class interval? 5. Just let's take this. So 20 and 5 is the lowest class interval. So the adjustment has to be done with 4. The frequency will be divided into 4 parts. So the given frequency is 12. 12 divided by 4 is equal to 3. And then we have, what is 60 to 80? Again is 20. 20 divided by 5 is equal to 4. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. So just look at this. This is how we make it. It's very simple. You just have to go through it once, and practice will make you perfect. Okay. So these show that the frequencies of the other classes which had a class interval more, they have been adjusted accordingly. So this is what it is, and we will continue on with the frequency polygon in the next class.